My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, so a couple of things that happen in the commerce sector, and this is where business starts to use blockchain. Utility is going to be a major factor, and we'll break into a little bit about what's happening with Visa and why this may make a difference in a token that could be maybe 100x. We'll see and take a look deep. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. If you guys are looking at long-term storage inside self-custody, this is one of the places you can do it. And all you have to do is go over to tangem.com and get your wallet. Get a self-custody wallet, start your journey down the path of self-custody within crypto. And it's very easy, great, slick app. All you have to do is click up there in the top right-hand corner. You'll get a chance to get into either the 3-card or the 2-card wallet. Say, get the 3-card. That way you've got an extra backup. So just use our link down below for an extra 10% off. And of course, it helps the channel out. All right, let's get into a few news items and why this matters. The first item here I want to hit on is Visa unveiling their Web3 loyalty platform, allowing brands to create custom branded crypto wallets. Now, this is something that I've talked about quite a bit with industry. And the reason is this, is when you look at brands out there, they all want to kind of have their own thing. It's why, brands are so protective of their IP, so protective of, their advertising model. This flows right into their strategy. And a couple of things in this article that I want to feature here was this right here. This is a protocol allowing for the creation and emission of intelligent NFTs that can be dynamically minted to a number of leading blockchains. This means that SMT doesn't rely on a single blockchain, but can operate across multiple blockchains, providing flexibility and broad compatibility. So what this simply means is that when brands are out there trying to do loyalty platforms, brand IP, create sorts of giveaways, even programs that would implement around sales in, we'll call it the Web3 commerce side of things, all of this would need to take place. I want to go to this first clip here. This gets into a little detail on Visa and the Web3 loyalty strategy. Listen in.
Traditional loyalty programs are simply an exchange of spend and reward, but consumers are demanding more in return for their loyalty. Web3 loyalty goes beyond, expanding opportunities for brands to reward customers for everything from social shares to viewing content. It's an interactive, gamified experience that lets customers earn and redeem value in new and engaging ways. Here's how it works. Trina the Traveler is headed to Paris. At the airport, she scans a QR code for the airline's rewards program when checking her luggage. Trina has a web-based digital wallet, so she's automatically subscribed as an airline rewards member with a token in just a few clicks. She earns a day pass to the member lounge and can relax before her big flight. Trina's ready to hit the town and decides to treat herself to some shopping on the Champs-Élysées. She opens her Visa Partner Loyalty web app and finds a virtual treasure map powered by augmented reality that shows available deals and special rewards offered at stores nearby. With her AR map as a guide, she's on a quest to collect as many tokens as she can, and as a result, discovers some new favorite stores along the way. Her efforts are rewarded at her final stop, where she can bundle her tokens into an exclusive gift with purchase. Visa Web3 Loyalty Engagement Solution.
All right, I didn't want that to be a Visa ad for you, but I wanted you to get the full extent of what Visa is doing. And this is to the point that I talk about often here, and that is utility function within blockchain. Because everybody will ask me, straight up, what is blockchain used for? Is this just a lot of internet money and people are just kind of, speculating on tokens? I'm more in the camp of, no, this is going to be a utility use case in Web3 commerce in the future. Problem is, I think the future is now. All right, so the project that they're going in and utilizing is a project called BLOCKv. Now, BLOCKv has been around for quite some time. We'll show you a little bit about that. But there's some very key points of why they're going this direction. Visa. One of the things here, this is on page 16 of their white paper. If you guys want, we'll try to leave some links to it, but you can probably find it out there. But existing blockchain solutions struggle with scalability and TPS limitations. Everybody knows that. Most popular chains currently handle fewer than 100 TPS. So this is a big deal because now you're getting down into this scenario of this is a big, huge limitation, which is one of the reasons they have selected this route. Now, it goes back to the whole point that I was getting at, is that why brands, including Visa, are all looking for solutions within blockchain that they can control and potentially manage on their own. So I want you to think about what other chain could be involved in this as well. We'll get into that in a little bit because it'll start to reveal itself a little bit more. Further in this report, it goes into the ecosystem. And as you'll notice right here, I'll zoom in on that a little bit. So the core platform, how it's being utilized, obviously Bitcoin or the Litecoin layer using OmniLayer, ETH, and then even Cosmos. So there's a couple of things here also that could be playing into this. And if you think about Avalanche, could that be one with their subnet architecture to be a potential here? I think yes. And that's going to be one to watch very closely. Further into the data, I want to get into their website. And this gets into some of the projects that they've gone out with. These are examples. You'll notice here is Doritos, KFC Gold Hunt. We'll show you some of that. The Doritos Quest, show you a little bit of that in relationship to the PS5 launch. So these are not slouch companies. These are major $100 billion brands. And not only that, these are companies that have massive consumer loyalty. That is the other thing that plays into this. And this is why I think when you look at the functionality of blockchain, finding that killer app is the key here. And I think, and this is what I've said quite a bit, is that loyalty will be one of the major killer apps. The next step in loyalty will be e-commerce, and we'll call it Web3 commerce because it's going to happen. Further into this, you can just kind of see these are all the companies. I mean, you've got Unilever in this, PepsiCo, Doritos, Unilever, a major multinational brand around the food systems. Jameson, obviously you guys know Irish whiskey there, light beer with Miller Lite, and then KFC, NBA. I mean, this is a massive, massive roster of some of the biggest companies out there, including American Express, Yahoo, et cetera. So I want to go further into this because the CEO had a few clips we'll break down, because I think this is, first of all, this is very new of what's happening. A lot of people are sleeping on this right now. I don't think they completely understand. So what I want to show you is one of the examples. This was the KFC AR hunt that they did with this technology. Listen in.
You gotta keep digging. Winner, crispy dinner, I'm a tunnel and tunnel vision for golden buckets of chicken. Till then, I think for now we'll keep on digging. When that flavor hits, like,
All right, so KFC already showing their Web3 chops a bit. Also, Doritos in here as well. So this came from the drum. I want to showcase a couple of points here within this. This was their test, Doritos, surpassing industry benchmarks in the Philippines with 30% higher click-through rate and 40% lower cost per click. Now, I want to pause that for a second. These kind of numbers don't exist. These kinds of things that happen in typical digital media advertising, you never get to these levels of penetration. In fact, it's mostly spray and pray versus what you're dealing with here, which is a much more targeted approach toward a fan base that is engaged with your brand IP, which makes them even more valuable, which is why you get the lower cost per click and a higher click-through rate and penetration. Further into this article, this was interesting. Registration of Doritos AR Quest had to be closed even before the end of the campaign because registrations reached their planned maximum capacity ahead of timeline. More than 19,000 gamers. The campaign exceeded the target KPI by almost 10% before they had the early close of registration. So basically, it was so successful, they had to shut it down. Man, that would be so amazing if you had a brand that whatever your project did was just so successful, you just literally had to turn it off. The other one that I want to pay attention to was this one right here, and this is NBA. And the interesting thing around this, I want to showcase this a little bit, is that as you'll notice, this is an AR/VR kind of approach. So the function of this kind of brand IP and loyalty mechanism that's being implemented on the blockchain, you need the token architecture, you need the companies to be able to implement this. Now they're starting to make this more of a gamification process. So this gets back into what I think really focusing in on these emerging demographics, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and then obviously the millennials. This, I think, is going to be a very, very big opportunity for retail brands As I've said all along, when retail brands enter this space, that is the killer app. And this would be possibly one of the ways that they'll do it. I want to go to the CEO of BLOCKv. He breaks down a little bit more about ticketing. Listen into this.
Like today, you'd spend a couple $100 on a ticket to go to a concert. You'd get a PDF, very flat. It's a non-experience. It's just pure utility. But soon, the ticketing experience will be very rich and robust and provide a lot more value to the end user, because instead of the PDF, you'll get this interactive object. And it can be a welcome video from the artist saying, can't wait for you to come and watch my show. This is my favorite show. And then when you're at the door, it will automatically enter you into a drawing, and maybe you'll get upgraded to a front row seat, and then it'll download a packet of coupons for you to get free concessions. You can get free food and drinks at the show, and then after the show, maybe you win a meet and greet with the artist. And then a week later, you'll get a video compilation of that show sent to you. And now you have a true souvenir ticket stub memento that has a compilation. There's only 1,000 of them because there's only 1,000 tickets sold. And it's the highlights of the show.
All right, so he hit on a few things there. And, we've talked about some ticketing solutions out there in the past. One, of course, riding over on Algorand. But the functionality of this kind of omnipresence around NFTs is huge because, one, it delivers brand IP. It also creates new values that within the NFT itself starts to create, some potential content almost in a way that it extends what you're trying to do as a brand, whether you're an artist, whether you're a brand that's doing something within this. So this, again, opens up the gateway of marketing and really creating brand loyalty. And the cool thing here is that it's all on the blockchain. So it's fully mutable and fully traceable. These are the values that blockchain brings to this next generation of the internet. I want to go further into this because this is talking about spam, and I'm talking about NFT spam. You guys have probably already experienced this if you're holding any wallets with NFTs right now. Listen into what Reeve had to say about this.
The reason why these NFTs and coupons will now have a lot of value is because the brands have an ability to make that coupon or that loyalty point worth a significant amount of money because they were able to send it to you without spending all the extra money on advertising to get it there. And even if that brand gives you something that you don't care about, that you don't place value on, someone else will. And the beauty is all these digital objects are interoperable. So you'll have a wallet filled with goods that's worth something, maybe not to you, therefore you can sell it or trade it for something that is worthwhile to you. Therefore, your loyalty programs and your couponing and surfing the web where you log in and you collect these NFTs is going to be valuable to you because now there's going to be a robust secondary market.
All right, so he hits on something there that I had a recent conversation with Yatsu from Animoca Brands about, and it was right in this zone of how the potential value of what our actions are and what we do on Web3 is going to be worth so much more, which is going to engage us. And I think that's exactly what is happening here. Just as a reminder, if you guys want to learn more about this company, again, they're not advertising with us. This is our own research, but this is BLOCKv, and that's Reeve Collins right there, the CEO that we're showcasing there. Now, this is where it gets interesting because spam now potentially could become valuable. And when you think about what that might look like, imagine the strategies that could come in around this from marketers, really great and astute marketers that could figure out a way to create volume level communication that has value to the end user that is then targeted into whether it's high net worth individuals, Rolex owners, Tesla owners, or just people that follow a particular game, Call of Duty, whatever it might be. The idea is this targeting gets much more zeroed in and creates a very interesting opportunity going forward. Further into this, I want to talk about where this could go. Amazon shares continuing to dip as TikTok is now setting to eye U.S. e-commerce. Now think about this for a second. Amazon has been kind of that fixed, beacon of Web 2 that is, here's the stuff, you buy it, it's one closed marketplace. TikTok, on the other hand, is a much more decentralized marketplace because you have a social interaction that's occurring. And if you look at their growth right here, 17.5 billion in 2024 expected. Now I want to apply that to what could happen in Web3. If you think about how that interaction of decentralized brands, that's why fast fashion has been so successful, And TikTok has been one of the catalysts for that to be able to occur. So there's a lot here that starts to flow into the functionality of brand IP, NFT integration, and loyalty systems that create volume in sales, meaning e-commerce sales. All of that. This is going to happen across every business layer out there. And I'm talking about even the professional business layers, insurance, real estate, attorneys, professional services, much less the retail side of it, from everything from fast fashion to food, you name it. We're going to see this kind of move. And that, I think, my friends, is where all of this starts to flow into some of these projects. They're going to start to do 10x, 50x, 100x. All right, so here's BLOCKv on CoinGecko, just a quick circulating, as well as their trading volume and just the current fully diluted. So you can kind of see here, this one has a very interesting and strategic model going forward. So could this be one of these tokens, based on what we're seeing in terms of utilization, really start to take off in the near future? We're watching it very closely. All right, so jumping over to their white paper, just to look at tokenomics. Right here, pre-sale. This was September 18th, October through October 10th, 2017. And then they had some unlocks that occurred right here. 15% of the tokens all allocated for up to 6 years. All that's gone. So tokenomics on this is very solid if you look at this, from an investment standpoint, or, if you're looking to speculate on something. This is one that we're watching very closely. All right, so looking at their market cap, this was in 2018. Kind of hover over that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right there, sticking on 400 million at the time. Volume was around 9.18 million. Obviously, this chain was very dormant except for this period right here, which was around October of 2021. Anybody remember what that was? All-time high Bitcoin. Metaverse started clicking. Gaming started happening. And this particular project, again, went back to sleep and was waiting for these deals. So they were doing these deals in the background, starting to test the technology, and then Visa turns over and says, all right, we want to go this direction. So very interesting one to keep an eye on. If you're trying to acquire it, there's really only one right now way, and that is Uniswap right now. You can go over and get it there. So that's one model. All right, so if everybody remembers, we've shown this a few times. This is the chart of Visa's test. Solana was chosen for pay, and then ETH was, of course, chosen now for smart contracts for the NFT side of things. So that's a very interesting situation starting to brew right now. And again, this gets back into these multi-billion dollar, close to $1 trillion companies that are starting to move in this direction. So again, all of this flows really into where I think blockchain is going. I want to go to this last clip here, and this is the Synthetic CEO talking about ETH and Solana and their dominance. Listen in.
So I think that everything is positioned now for Ethereum to really dominate next year. But throughout this year, it really has been heads down building, and a lot of people are scrambling even as we kind of round out the end of the year to get things live this year so that they're ready to go for next year. As Bitcoin, as it typically does at the start of a cycle, as the Bitcoin dominance cycle starts to grow, what would typically happen is those Bitcoin profits would be rotated out into alternative assets, right? Longer tail assets. And Ethereum was typically one of those. But it feels to me like Ethereum is now in a position where it has become so dominant that people are actually skipping over Ethereum and going to things like Solana and, even layer 2 scaling solutions and, longer tail assets, more speculative assets. That said, Ethereum has a habit throughout, a bull market of having these, kind of crazy catalyst weeks where, it can go 5, 10, 15, 20% up in a week. And I do think we'll see that in 2024. What has also happened is some of the competing layer 1 networks, the other networks that were taking attention away from Ethereum, have kind of pivoted to come back into the ecosystem and become L2s, right? So Celo is a great example of that. What that's done, I think, has created a bit of a power vacuum for Solana to be this credible threat. And so I think we will probably see this cycle, Solana get solidified as like the number 3 crypto asset, where you'll have, Bitcoin, then Ethereum as the dominant, smart contract platform, but Solana as this fast follower platform that will likely, take up a lot of attention and have a lot of activity happening in that ecosystem.
All right, so you can kind of see the road. I think the roadmap is in place now. We've seen the functionality. First of all, there's been a lot of companies that have been doing a lot of building in this bear market. and it's now starting to showcase. I think 2024 will be a masterful year in terms of people releasing real projects and then the acceleration of those projects. So I'm looking for a couple to go very viral, probably from some food brands is my expectation, just because the amount of consumers that they affect. And because of that, you've got Solana and Ethereum both in really kind of a very advantageous position in the marketplace. So if you're playing either market, hopefully you're hedging against both. I think you're in a good position. So it's definitely going to be one to watch. So you guys who want to learn more about this, you need to stick around right here and catch it right here on PBN. The best way to do that is get into the Diamond Circle. It's one of the additional ways to get additional content, more podcasts, also additional research. We drop it there. If you guys catch me out there on X, it's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.